Now, if only the liberals and Democrats extended the same type of courtesy for, American citizens. The caption reads, when Democrats see an illegal immigrant. The end here is pretty beautiful. Wait for it. Yoinks! As of course, that is your money. As right now, Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, is doing a marathon-long press conference where he's saying a lot of crazy, wild things right now that I think are absolutely worth paying attention to, as what he said about Charlie Kirk definitely is raising a lot of eyebrows to the leftist type of behavior here inside of the United States. Now, in the making of this video, the press conference is still going on, and it is wild to see all the different answers, all the different kind of serious talks and considerations about India, about Iran, about Ukraine, and this kind of unfolding geopolitical conundrum that the United States finds itself in, as I have previously made the argument that right now we are in a very precarious situation where it looks like Iran, Venezuela, then Russia will be on the chopping block of U.S. intervention and foreign proxy type of conflicts that are on the trajectory that we are currently on. Now, hopefully we get to avoid a lot of these type of conflicts. Hopefully a lot of it is just saber rattling, but I don't think it is. I think there's something else big brewing here, as of course a lot of people like Ron Paul have their unique criticisms of it. We're going to be talking about that and a lot more all here on this independent media broadcast, especially with the latest comments about Putin and Charlie Kirk. So if you appreciate these types of videos and geopolitical foreign policy updates, which I think are crucial to pay attention to right now, subscribe, click the notification button, because we greatly appreciate all the time that you, of course, spend with us. Now, this marathon type of press conference that has been going on for many particular hours really did reveal the kind of position that the Russians are in. And there are some very interesting things happening right now as Donald Trump is discussing giving long-range ballistic Tomahawk missiles that could be armed with nuclear warheads. The Russians wouldn't know when they're flying at them at low altitudes that are almost impossible to defeat with air defense systems, whether they are or not, as of course their nuclear doctrine would be triggered, as Ron Paul is arguing that this administration is pushing us closer towards World War III over Ukraine. As I thought the comments that they discussed here, in hindsight of everything, is worth noting and paying attention to.
Our show is about hot spots. Where in the world might Trump flex military power?
It's Venezuela today, by the way. He also committed a major action against the fourth boat. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Vice President Vance says Trump is considering supplying Ukraine with Tomahawk missiles. They have a range of over 1,000 miles. Missiles. You don't just send them over like here's the instruction. Type this in and hit go. It doesn't work that way. It's going to be U.S. intelligence, geospatial intelligence. It's going to be U.S. Military officers, NATO military officers, programming it in, hitting the button, and sending the missiles. And that's very well understood. And the Foreign Secretary of Russia had made that very clear. We know that they're not going to fire him. It's going to be you firing him.
He pretty much, it's America launching advanced missile systems at us at this particular point. And that is a major escalation, which they're warning and saying, hey, don't do this.
If you fire missiles deep into Russia, from Moscow, for example, we will be at war.
I think it's dangerous, and the placement of weapons has a great deal of significance. And this move now to put the Tomahawks I guess, into Ukraine, and they'll be able to hit Moscow.
They'll be able to hit more than Moscow. They have a lot of other military sites that they are right now making sure are away from the capabilities of the Ukrainians. Ukrainians could already hit the kind of outer sphere of Moscow. This would mean far more Russian military targets would be hit, which would be a game changer for this particular conflict. As, again, right now, the argument kind of is happening like, is Donald Trump, quote, on a pathway of total control, especially amidst this kind of government shutdown here. And in the face of all of this, especially with Donald Trump saber rattling and flexing his military might, Vladimir Putin, in the face of all this, had some very interesting comments, specifically about what's happening here domestically inside of the United States surrounding Charlie Kirk, which is showing how the Russians want to have better diplomatic relationships. As of course, this was a kind of figurative giving of the olive branch. And there's a lot of interesting remarks that Putin made here that really make you wonder, okay, where is he exactly coming from? As he called this assassination, quote, disgusting. I want to play the full comments here because I think they are worth listening to and paying attention. This is what Vladimir Putin had to say. We recently saw a high-profile political murder, the guy's asking him, which is perceived as polarization, an internal conflict within society. So it turns out they also needed an external threat to resolve this. You know, and this is Putin. You know, this vile crime and broadcast live, essentially before our eyes. We all saw it. I don't know. It truly was revolting. It looked horrible. First of all, of course, I offer my condolences to the family of Charlie Kirk. And to all those who loved loved ones, we sympathize and grieve, especially since he defended those very traditional values. By the way, he came with a weapon in hand to defend them. And in the end, he gave his life for it. And then, of course, he talked about not just sympathies, not just grieving, but how this transforms and revolutionizes everything. Now, before getting into some of the deeper comments here and other things he talked about and the kind of other geopolitical updates, there's also a lot of things to think about, especially with Putin's comments compared to leftist Democratic politicians' comments. We'll get into that in a little bit. Before we do, we wanted to tell you about wearechange.shop. One of the supplements that I actually forgot to bring along that I wish I kind of had now as I'm kind of cramping up here is magnesium. And when I cramp up, sometimes I usually just go straight for the magnesium. It helps me out a lot. I like magnesium. Lots of people are deficient in magnesium. I recently saw this interview with Dr. Rhonda Patrick, and this is what she had to say about magnesium, which I thought was fascinating.
Found a stat that said for every 100 milligram drop in magnesium intake is linked to a 24% higher risk of pancreatic cancer.
Yes.
Which is shocking.
It is. And again, it comes down to the DNA repair enzymes that require magnesium to be activated. And if over a lifetime, you're part of that 50% of the population in the United States that doesn't get enough magnesium, then you're talking about not being able to repair damage to your DNA over decades. And essentially what that means is, at some point, damage happens to your DNA in the right part of a gene that is what's called oncogenic. It's cancer causing. And so eventually it's going to cause cancer if you're not able to repair that damage, right? And so getting enough magnesium is important to make sure you're repairing that damage. It's not only important for cancer, but also all-cause mortality. So there's also studies showing that people with the highest magnesium levels have a 40% lower all-cause mortality than people with the lowest magnesium levels. And they have a 50% lower cancer-related mortality compared to people with the lowest levels. So again, cancer is still in there. And we're seeing that magnesium intake is very important with respect to cancer. And that is something that people don't realize when they're not getting enough of magnesium in their diet, they're not eating their leafy greens, or they're not taking a supplement, that they're sort of affecting their long-term risk of cancer.
Yeah. This was made by the Well Score. I just saw it randomly on my Instagram feed, and I'm like, yeah, this is interesting. I'm going to make sure to keep taking my magnesium, and I'm like, oh, crap, I forgot it at home. Wish I had some right now. You can get some at wearechange.shop. I'm not telling you it's going to cure or do anything to you. I'm telling you, I like it. It works for me. It might potentially work for you. Before putting anything into your body, consult a medical professional, and make sure to do your own homework and research. I mean, it's just pretty clear as day. I don't want to sell you booze. I don't want to sell you gambling. I want to sell you things that actually I want good karma and juju from. I don't want no negative karma. I don't want to sell you some nonsense just to make money. I want to make money in a way where I help you. That's why I started wearechange.shop. A lot of really great, incredible supplements out there, and I cannot recommend it enough. Check it out. That's how you support me one-on-one directly. Anyway. Let's continue back on with this particular video. As I thought, what Putin had to say, talking about how this was a disgusting atrocity that exposed a deep rift in America, is something that's very telling, as there has been a lot of scuttlebutt, a lot of rumors about foreign countries intervening and dividing us and creating civil strife-like scenarios and situations in order to kind of divide and conquer us. And if we are internally fighting, just like there was an initial kind of civil war here in the United States, you could bet your bottom dollar is going to be foreign countries financing France, England last time, coming in and be like, here's the money. We want your side to win because we're going to align with you guys and it works for us that you guys fight each other. Now, Putin kind of obviously calling out this major deep rift in America, kind of counterintuitive to pushing this type of divide and conquer. As some people are saying, Putin flashed more dignity than Democrats on Charlie Kirk's brutal murder. And this is interesting because you really think about the Democratic response here. Overwhelmingly, it was just like silence. Few people spoke out against it. Bill Maher spoke about it. Ethan Klein spoke about it. Other than that, like, I haven't really seen anyone. Like, there were multiple instances and times where, even during major events, it doesn't even have to be, hey, we now promote and love Charlie. It don't have to be that. It could be like, hey, let's take a step back. Hey, Bill Maher made a point saying that during one of the Hollywood award ceremonies, not even a word was said about this big, deep rift, about this type of polarization type of event, demoralization type of event that should have been addressed in a way where all the lefties and Democrats inside of Hollywood were like, okay, guys, tone the temperature down. We cannot condone political violence. We have to nip it in the bud. We have to stop it. That's the bare minimum of what they should have done. They didn't. Why didn't they? Putin now is showing more grace than a lot of the liberals and the leftists here when we are in a full, all-out proxy war with him. Tell me that's telling without telling me that's telling. Now, Putin made some other comments because the proxy war that we're involved in could soon turn into a hot war, especially when the United States says, yeah, now we're going to send in our advanced missile systems, we're going to launch them, we're going to give you the tech and the information and the satellite data and all the targets, and we're going to help you hit all of Russia with missiles that can't be defended against. We'll give you all of that, right? We're about to be in a full-on kinetic war with Russia and nuclear power. As some people argue, we already are. Now, Putin says, listen, the United States is defending their national interest. And you know what? We're going to look out after our own national interest, as he is calling for the restoring of fully fledged U.S.-Russian relations. And he's saying that's in the Russian interest. Saying, look, you guys care about your interest? I want to care about my interest. Us working together is for our own interest. That's the big message from today's press conference so far. And again, a lot of this is in Ruski. I pretty much surmised what he said. I don't have to play his exact words because I pretty much type of explained it. And for a lot of people listening, okay, can we restore relations? Can we stop trying to saber at it? Can we stop trying to fight? Can we try to end this war? As a lot of people are saying, well, the onus is on Russia. As we had some very interesting comments about Viktor Orban, the political leader of Hungary, recently. As listen, American perception have definitely shifted. Russians seeing U.S. as adversaries has shifted from 76% to 27%. Americans seeing Russia as adversaries has shifted allegedly from 70% to 50%. As a lot of people are hoping for dialogue and cooperation. There's something that is happening right now that is not allowing that to, of course, happen. Now, I think we need a multi-pronged approach here. I think we need an approach where I understand the carrot and stick analogy. I think we're using a lot of stick and we're not using a lot of carrots. Now, of course, there's other institutions out there that are saying, no, this is all a ploy. As we have the Foundation for Defense and Democracies, probably another CIA front, saying Putin's psychological warfare against the West has reached another terrifying level. London and Washington should call the Russian president's bluff and increase pressure on the Kremlin. Yes, let's get closer to world war. Let's get closer. towards fighting each other kinetically. Yeah, great idea. That sounds smart. So no one ever. What are you doing? This is a ridiculous, insane notion that has been followed through this type of neoconservative doctrine that Joe Biden followed very closely. And now Donald Trump is reverting back to after previously saying, no, I'm going to end the war. Now that's kind of gone. As Putin also is warning of potential strikes on nuclear power plants. Putin warns Ukraine of possible strikes on nuclear power plants as Putin is accusing now Ukraine of striking the Zaporizhia nuclear plant. And he warns of, quote, reciprocal measures. Now, there also has been questions about shutting off the power to a lot of these kind of nuclear power plants. A nuclear disaster is something that we should look out for as a potential false flag, because I think that could happen too. And if it does, it's just game over. Now, I found the comments of Viktor Orban very interesting, as he came out and says the West, essentially Brussels' strategy is to wear down Russia enough with this war, as they're going to be pouring in billions of dollars into Ukraine, quote, sacrificing Europe's economy and spending hundreds of thousands to die at the front. And Viktor Orban says, Hungary rejects this. Europe must negotiate for peace, not to pursue endless war. Yes, 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 Viktor Orban, speaking some bigger truths here that need to be, of course, recognized. Now, it's not just Russia and Ukraine that we have to worry about. This is a multi-pronged type of proxy conflict that has been brewing way before it started in 2014. The first official shots, by the way, that we called, that we were reporting on, that said, this is crazy, it's going to be a war. We called out in 2014, okay? There's fighting in the Donbass region. Russian proxy forces, Ukrainian forces coming in, Ukrainian on Ukrainian crime, Slavic on Slavic crime. The number of Slavic lives lost here is just absolutely insane. It needs to stop. It's ridiculous. Now, Russian transport planes, and again, it's a multi-pronged type of situation. The United States also bombed Iran. That also, the Russians were looking at the negotiations that were happening between Iran and the United States, and they saw the United States running a disinformation campaign and lulling in the Iranians, and then boom, surprise sneak attack. Now, with the United States moving significant military hardware over to the Middle East, they're like, they're going to do it again. We're going to bomb Iran once again. Russia's like, okay, well, we're going to move some military assets there. As right now, Russian military transport planes are continuously flying in and out of Iran, various directions, lots of other countries too. Iran making a bigger deal with China. Iran also building nuclear reactors with Russia now. And that's why I said, hey, this Iran strike is a mistake, and it's going to have a kind of chain reaction that's going to stop diplomacy in other parts of the world. And that's exactly what's happening right now. As a lot of people are speculating, Moscow was moving a lot of weapons to Tehran. Now, there's also reports of Russia targeting UK military satellites, quote, on a weekly basis. There's also satellites flying over Russia trying to get all the data and information of where to strike, especially if they get these Tomahawk missile systems, as many reports are coming in, unverified, but probably true, that Russia is now massively supplying weapons to Iran. Again, they're going to be building their nuclear reactors, and it wouldn't surprise me if Putin's like, you know what? Whoopsie daisy, we lost a nuclear warhead. It just fell into the hands of the Iranians. All right? That's the type of scenario. North Korea, whoopsie daisy, whoopsie. Oh, Vlad's just absolutely just the nuclear bomb just fell out of the pocket of Vlad and just ended up in the hands of North Koreans and the Iranians. Okay, that's the type of situation that we're dealing with. A crazy, wild situation. Now, Donald Trump probably will aid and abet in the bombing of the second Iranian campaign, which is set to begin probably sometime in the next few days, weeks, or months. I don't know when exactly, but it's probably going to happen eventually. Trump also putting maximum pressure on Hamas, saying, listen, you better accept this peace deal. We'll give you till Sunday, 6 p.m., or all hell will break loose. We'll see what unfolds there, as the negotiation and political team of Hamas was recently targeted and killed in Qatar. As Donald Trump's like, I didn't know this was happening, even though U.S. CENTCOM is there. Who knows what in the world happened there. As Venezuela just said, it detected 5 U.S. combat planes flying very close to its coast, calling it a provocation. Venezuela previously flew F-16s over U.S. military naval assets in the region. Donald Trump says next time we do it, we're going to shoot it down. The situation is brewing there as U.S. naval forces just bombed the 4th boat coming from Venezuela that were, quote, allegedly drug traffickers. Now, Trump just yesterday declared war on drug traffickers and then came out and said, before that, the president of Venezuela is a drug trafficker. Okay. So where's the shoe going to drop first? I think my projections, either Iran or Venezuela. I think Iran, right? Then Venezuela, then Russia, then China. That's my prediction. Listen, all of this not looking good for future economic prospects. Gold having a breakout moment. $3,800 per ounce. Again, a lot of things surrounded with this in the economy. Lots of really crazy, wild stuff happening right now. I'm going to get into it, plus more. As soon as there's more developments here, we're going to be covering it here all on this independent media broadcast. Again, we are change.shop. Do your own homework. Check it out. Got some really great, awesome supplements. Thank you so much for supporting us. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys doing that. And this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more. All here exclusively on youtube.com/wearechange.